It's October 4, 2023. Welcome to the Path Podcast. My name is Tani. I'm here with usual Auk, and we're super excited to have Tyler join us today. Hey, Tyler.
Hello.
Hey, Tyler.
Tyler works with us here in the shop as our kind of web sales manager, an all-around awesome guy, and also does fun stuff like he brought our demo fleet back to life pretty much single-handedly and implemented the app that we use for that and everything. So that kind of stuff, awesome. Super, one of our more key players and one of our like really positive energy people. Thanks.
I try my best.
Good to have you on the show, Tyler.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
What's new with you, Auk?
Man, after probably months of trying to coordinate a ride with Andrew,
Yeah.
I finally managed to ride with that guy.
Yeah. You guys rode Joplin.
It was good times, yeah. Harding to Joplin.
That's a good one.
It was.
That's a long one.
It was a long one, and couldn't have asked for better conditions. We got started about 6:30, so we did not need lights. Started climbing. It was, we had all kinds of different weather. So it was a little bit overcast when we first started. And then, there's enough elevation gain that you start breaking through the clouds and you get that mixed cloud and blue sky. Oh my gosh, glorious. It felt like the first days of fall because it was nice and cool. And then, sometimes in the Santa Anas you get the clouds start to roll in.
Yeah.
And that was, man, the Santa Anas, they were on display.
That's awesome.
Starting to get to Santa Ana season.
That's right. And then we, made it through the ride, which is a lot of fun, and sitting back at the truck, and it started raining on us. So, yeah, legitimately raining on us. So
Awesome.
Had it all. It was fantastic. It was great.
Where'd you park?
Parked at Tucker Wildlife Sanctuary.
What bikes did you ride?
We rode. I rode the Trance. Trance, I forget how
Elite
with
a range extender.
Plus with a range extender. Yep, and he rode what is it?
Yeti.
Yeti
e-bike. Is that what he has right now?
Yep, that's right. That's what he has. So he was full power, full weight on probably a 650 battery, and I was lightweight, full power, the range extender, probably similar total battery.
The claimed wattage is 650 between the range extender and
so it was probably close. Rode most of the time in 2 of 5.
Okay.
So
is that what Kemp was mostly doing too?
I think that was what he was doing mostly.
Cool.
I think we ended up with about the same amount of battery, even though I've come to realize that the range extender and the main battery kind of draw down at the same time. They're trying to...
I think it was explained to me recently.
I think it was too. I'm trying to remember.
I think what it is, when it shows you your power with the range extender on, if I understand correctly, it shows your power calculating the range extender in.
Yeah, that's...
So the whole time the range extender's on there, that's including your range extender. It's not like you have that and then it goes to...
Full range extender.
Right.
Yep. That's because towards the end, I clicked down to the one... started turning orange.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but then if you push the top button on the range extender, it shows you how many it has a battery bar indicator.
Oh, cool.
And so I had one on the, on the main LED. And then when you push the battery the little indicator, it was on 2. And so
okay.
I've ridden enough that I was like, okay, this is cool. I could boost a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm safe.
I'm safe. I'm gonna make it home.
And your batteries were both pretty low at the end.
Yeah. His had just clicked on to 1, and we were on the road back. Kind of did the descent from San Diego Truck Trail, and somewhere along Majeska Canyon, his clicked into 1. So
yeah.
So wait, which descent did you do after Old Camp?
Just straight San Diego Truck Trail all the way down to all the way down to the road. We thought about doing Joplin or Luge.
Yep.
And then pedaling back over, but I was like, well, one, it was mid-morning, so it was getting late in Auk time, and then also was looking at my battery, and I was like, I don't want to get stuck on the road with no battery. And I think I would have made it though.
Yeah.
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 How long did it take?
Well, between everyone knows Andrew on the trail, you know. No, it was. I think it was. Even with that, it was like 2.5. So we probably would have been done. Yeah, probably 2:15, even not boosting all the way, because you know you can do that whole boost the majority of the way up Joplin or Harding, and then like ease way back and kind of make your way back. No, we just kept it in about 2 the whole time, or at least I was doing that most of the time.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So wait, total time.
Total time I think was like 2.5 hours.
That's fast.
That's pretty good.
And you were 2 out of 5 on the boost level too. Is that what you said?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow, that's fast.
I don't think it's that much slower up Harding, because we got to the top of Harding and I think it was under 1 hour and 10. I think when I've really like just boosted the whole way, man, it's like, I don't know, like right around 1 hour, maybe 1 hour and 5.
Yeah.
That extra 10 minutes of time saved burns a lot of extra battery, doesn't it?
Burns a lot of extra battery. That's true. And
So every time I've ridden that long with Andrew, there's at least one kind of pearl of wisdom, at least one really good quip that's like hilarious, and like maybe I learn a new vocabulary word or like a new idea construct.
You know what? I'm sure there. Yes, I'm sure there are. And just off the top of my head, I cannot remember. But yes, yeah, it's a good conversationalist. So Andrew, if you listen to this, it was good times, good conversation. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
It's awesome.
You been up to anything fun lately, Tyler?
Just riding my relay.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Loving that thing.
Whoa, what have you been doing on the relay? Types of rides.
Longer rides.
Wow.
I'd say San Clemente's been a place that I've been trying to spend more time at. Also had a lot of bike park this summer too.
Ooh.
Are you doing repeats on the jump line a lot?
Yeah.
And other stuff too, I imagine?
Yeah.
What are your favorite trails over there?
I'd say Car Crash.
Yeah,
is a good one.
That's a good one.
And then
Yeah.
also Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, Ricky Bobby's
Those two.
fun.
Yeah.
Car Crash 2 Ricky Bobby is good.
Yeah, totally.
Have you checked out the newer one off to the right of Car Crash?
What is Sam's Club?
Yeah,
I like
one's
that one
pretty
too.
fun. Some
That one's got a
steeps.
nice step up on that one too.
Are you hitting that step up?
Yeah,
That's pretty boosty.
it was the first time I hit it was pretty scary. I'm not
I'm
gonna
not.
lie.
I'm not super tempted to hit that anytime soon. Nice work.
Yeah, it took a lot of confidence for sure.
Yeah. Are you hitting the other step up over there, the even bigger one?
No, I've wanted to, but I feel like it's like hasn't been in like very rideable condition anytime recently either. And also scares me. So
It's pretty gnarly.
I've been fine skipping that. I'm not gonna lie, and doing other stuff.
So the relay's treating you well, though.
Yeah.
Do you ever ride it battery out?
I've never really pushed the battery on it. Or battery out.
Yeah,
Yes, I have. It's doable. It's a heavy enduro bike with a battery out, basically.
You have a other Amish bike or muscle bike?
I don't, but I think I'm going to get one pretty soon.
Sorry.
Amish bike got you?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a pejorative. I don't know. If it is, I
But, you know.
apologize. I don't
Okay.
think it is.
I don't think it is.
No.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
so do you ride that battery out at bike park?
Bike park, I have a downhill bike. So I ride the
Oh,
downhill
yeah,
bike.
the
What's your downhill bike?
What was that?
What's your downhill bike?
17 Rocky Mountain Maiden.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's mixed wheeled and
That's a classic. The story of that one.
and super fun. Yeah.
What's your next trail bike going to be?
So, like I said, with the relay is a lot of fun, but I am missing having like a lightweight, playful pedal bike as well. I have a Giant Fathom right now. I think
Nice.
I've ran into you on a ride when I was riding it.
Yep.
And that's a fun bike to ride, but I've been debating like getting a frame that's about the same travel and swapping all my parts over from that, like maybe even just a Giant Trance,
Nice.
which literally everything would swap over, which is pretty nice.
You should do a transfer. We just got a deal on those. We're doing the 2s for $19.95.
Yeah.
You could
That's a smoking deal.
mix some parts around and have keep your other bike complete still.
Totally. Yeah. We've also got some good deals on frames too.
How long have you worked here now?
I think a little over 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
I forget, did you have a job before the Path?
I did. I was cleaning pools, actually.
Nice.
It was kind of like a part-time family friend gig, but yeah, that kind of got me into like the working world. And then when I first started working here, I was doing both. I was working 6 days a week. I was working 3 days here, 3 days there.
And going to high school still, right?
That was during summer. Yeah.
Summer after high school.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So I was doing those two, and then once summer ended, I ended up quitting the pool job just because it was like I was having a great time working here, and I wanted to focus on working here more and also school. So right now I'm working full time here, and this has been my main thing for probably a little under 2 years. Not long after I started here. It's
been awesome. I think we found you through Anthony, right?
Yeah, it was through Anthony.
Yep.
Yeah. Anthony is one of my definitely my best friend, and we met out on the trail, which was super cool.
Wow.
And
I did not know that piece.
Yeah. So it was like one of my first rides too, I think, when I had my first full suspension. It was a Marin Hawk Hill, and I'd been in the shop like a few days before I first actually met him. I was buying a cassette tool because I think I'm getting my timelines mixed up, but at some point I had a Marin Hawk Hill and I had a Pike Ultimate on it, and I was trying to mess around with the volume spacers, and so I needed a cassette tool to take the air cap off.
Right.
And so I came in here to buy one, and Anthony's the one that helped me out, and it's super funny looking back on it because he sold me the wrong cassette tool to take it off too.
Oh, man.
Yeah, which is super funny.
Was that one of your first times in here?
Yeah, that might have been. I think that was my second time in here.
Nice.
The first time was I wasn't in here.
Nice.
It was during COVID, actually, the first time I was here, and we had a table set up outside.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't technically come in. I think when I got the cassette tool was the first time I'd actually been in the shop.
So did you start riding when did you start riding?
COVID.
Whoa.
I think 2020 technically.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was one of the many people that started riding during COVID.
You got pretty good pretty fast.
I have been riding moto on and off for a lot of my life too.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the skills being able to handle a dirt bike transfer over to a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Being able to think about a lot of things at once, braking, body positioning, the trail ahead of you.
Yep.
Being comfortable at speed.
Yes. Yeah. Because you go pretty fast on a dirt bike. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's helped with my progression. When I first started too, I was going like almost every day. Too,
and that was with your dad dirt biking?
No, my dad. Well, kind of. My dad had like a quad, like an ATV that he would ride with me sometimes. He ended up having a pretty bad crash and just sold it and was done with it, which is fine. But then, but more so like with my cousins.
Cool.
I have a lot of cousins that dirt bike. They ride the track. Some of them are really good.
So,
which is probably why you that's normal for you. And so then you're like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Even if you're not at that level, right? But maybe you are at that level.
No, I don't think so.
So, young guy, just not that much time mountain biking, and you start working at the Path. That's got to be a crazy experience. And there's a bunch of salty old mechanics and like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was. I mean, this was my first obviously I was working the pool job, but this was my first like super real job, and so it was interesting, just like getting to know all the characters and trying to learn everyone and get along with everyone, which for a lot of people was easy for sure. Starting off.
I got to think it has to be a little intimidating though, even because I know that because people who have had a lot of jobs and are seasoned tell me that when they come work here. Because there's just so much going on and there's so much product and so many people. Yeah. And a lot of our customers are kind of like impressive and like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think honestly, like when I started working here, Anthony was working here too, obviously. So I think having a familiar face really helped. But I became friends with like some people here in the shop. Like I feel like pretty close, pretty fast too. Yeah. I'm good friends with like Zach and Tori. So I think like being able to make friends pretty quickly and like have new familiar faces when I come to the shop was super nice.
Right.
Yeah. So that helped me get over the intimidation, I think pretty quickly too, to where I felt like I really belonged here.
Awesome. You do.
Feels like it. Yeah. I like being here.
I'd agree with that as an outsider as well. You fit in well.
Thank you.
So,
What was life like before? Like, so did you grow up here in Orange County or you transplant?
Yeah, I grew up here in Orange County. I've lived in the same house since I was 1.
Nice.
It's been awesome living here, and especially with all the local mountain biking too. Like, there's some really good stuff that's like not that far, which feels awesome.
I agree. We were talking about some of it at the start of the show, but yeah, and even beyond that, just the wilderness parks. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, like I live really close to Oaks, Santiago Oaks,
Okay.
so that's where I ride most of the time, just because it's close. It's also really close to the shop too. So that's kind of where I started too, and I think that was a good place to start too, because there's like a wide variety of trails there. There's flow, there's tech. Yeah, there's just everything there, it feels like. And some of those climbs are kind of punchy too, and so I think that got me into shape pretty quickly too.
Right. Did you do any other sports or anything like that before you came to besides moto?
I played baseball in high school as well.
Okay.
I wasn't super good at it. I was a pitcher, but met a lot of friends there. That was a cool experience. And then my senior year, which was when we were kind of like at peak COVID.
Great.
I was kind of, junior year was peak COVID. Senior year was like still COVID, but like things were a little more open.
Right.
Like we were going physically back to school again.
Right.
For a while we weren't. I was basically doing online school until like whatever it was, like 12:30 in the afternoon. And then I had baseball practice at like 1:45 or 2 o'clock. And I would be like, once like 5 minutes before I got off my last class, I had like my bike in my truck, like all ready to go. And I'd go do a ride before practice.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I would just go up chutes and then either go down chutes or I'd go down waterfall too.
Right.
I would just do like one trail, just like a quickie, but that was super fun too, just squeezing that in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would do that during COVID. I'd squeeze in rides before work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that with an e-bike, or you can get more done, I should say, for the same time with an e-bike.
That is
which
true.
is nice.
That is true. Well, that's great.
I think a lot of our listeners have spoken to you either on text or on the phone, because a lot of times Tyler's the person that you might end up in contact with if you place a web order or have a customer service thing going on with your web order or anything like that. So say hi to Tyler.
Hello.
Here he is.
Yeah, like text messages, I answer a lot of those. I'd say me and Zach kind of split those. Zach handles a lot of the service-related ones, and then a lot of other general stuff. A lot of times I'm the person you're talking to. And then also just if you place a web order, I fulfill the majority of our web orders, and then Brian does it a couple days a week too when I'm not here.
But more importantly, you built that process.
Yeah,
and
or helped build it.
Trained everyone else who does it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's just a part of a team, but
exactly. Yeah, it was a team effort.
But I think you were the point person on building it,
Mm-hmm.
and did most of the work of building it.
Yeah.
And the fulfillment process and the customer service process, and you're still working on that, which I think is a really cool part of your job.
Yeah.
Like how you have built this process for getting all the best information so that we can set people's bikes up really well when we ship them to them.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I think that's the kind of process building that you're doing a lot of in the last year or so. That's, I think, really cool and fun, and leaves a long kind of footprint, like it's going to affect how we do business for a long time and set us up for success. And
absolutely.
I kind of want you to talk a little bit about that specific process, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if we're talking specifically bike orders, because obviously those are the ones that require.
So you place an order on our web store for a bike.
Mm-hmm. Generally, we reach out to you, and then at this point, we have basically a sheet of just general questions, how you want the bike set up, which generally customers just go through, answer, and then basically we offer any help with the questions if somebody doesn't understand one of the questions or has something particular they want set up with their bike. Basically, we generally reach out via text.
Do you know off the top of your head what are the questions?
Questions like, what's your rider weight, so that we can set up the suspension. Rider weight, would you like your tires set up tubeless? Would you want your brake set up moto? Do you have a preference on stack height for your stem? Do you know your saddle height?
Do you just what if I don't know what a stack height is?
Then we'll respond to you via text and we'll define it for you, or we can also hop on a call too. And
What's the actual question on that we ask them? Is it, do you have a preference on stack height?
I think it's, do you have a preference on stack height? And then I think there's a note on there that we can elaborate on that too.
Mm-hmm. And this is something we're massaging and we're working. It's never done.
Yeah,
right.
for
So
sure.
What was the genesis of that idea of a sheet of questions that you could either send or you email it to them or text it to them?
Usually text.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the genesis of that particular idea?
Like, how did that come about?
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it was you kind of brought up the general idea of that, Tani.
Hey, wouldn't it be great if you had like a list of questions or something?
Yeah. Because before we had the sheet too, like it was just like basically just not copy and pasting, but just like reiterating the same questions to every customer. So
It's a
like,
process that it's partly documenting what Tyler was doing anyway, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And it's partly taking that and then asking how we can build on it, right?
Yeah.
So I like the way we together we formatted the saddle height questions too, right? Like, how does that go?
Yeah, saddle height. A lot of people don't know their saddle height,
Right?
And so usually the first question is, do you have a bike currently that you were happy with the saddle height with? And then we'll kind of walk them through how to measure saddle height. If they don't, then there's a nice little video that you sent me that I've used for people who don't have a bike that they like the saddle height on, where you put a book between your legs, put up to the wall, and then forget the rest. But it's
like a 1.5 inch bound book, and you push your soft tissue out of the way, so you're actually getting towards the bone of your perineum there, and you put the book on the wall and measure, basically get an inseam measurement of sorts.
Yeah.
And then I believe the formula is multiplied by 0.877.
That
And
sounds right.
Interestingly enough, back when we were selling a lot of custom 7 cycles, they had a really complex algorithm where we would measure a person and measure their flexibility, and 7 would come up with a full set of bike dimensions and saddle height, stack height, reach, everything.
Dang.
And they used that formula.
Right.
And by going through that process, I ended up with a 691 millimeter saddle height, center of bottom bracket at top of the saddle, right at the middle of the saddle. That was back with 175 cranks. When I ended up getting training for bike fit, on a bike that wasn't mine, without me being able to look at the measurements, the bike fitters who were training, or the people who were in the workshop with me, getting trained with me, we all fit each other.
Right.
They fit me at the same exact saddle height.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's one reference point. We've done a few reference points. It doesn't work perfectly for everybody, but I do think that for someone who doesn't have any idea what their saddle height is, it's going to get you in a really decent spot.
Totally.
Yeah.
And better maybe than you would have ended up without any help at all.
Absolutely.
And with some of the e-bikes especially, or just dropper post bikes in general, adjusting the saddle height can be a little bit tricky to do without dislodging the dropper post cable or jamming the arm at the bottom of the dropper post.
Mm-hmm.
So we do want to get that right, because we don't have another chance to help them with that if we ship them the bike.
Yeah.
Right.
So some people, I think some people know their saddle height. That makes it easy. If they don't, helping them just measure how we measure so we can repeat it is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I forget, is that shoes on or shoes off?
Shoes off. And you have some riding style questions?
I don't know if I have riding style questions on
we
there.
should probably add some.
That's probably good to add. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So what you were doing, Tani had mentioned, you were sort of doing this before. Was that another Tani idea?
Doing
Like kind of asking the questions.
Yeah.
And
Like
what have you.
before we had the sheet, like
Right.
just asking general questions. If you're a person, a lot of people don't have local bike shops, or their
Right.
local bike shops like 5 hours away and like not really that convenient to get to.
Right.
Like there's a fairly large demographic of people who buy bikes online with us who are kind of like that too.
Right.
And so, like having that set of questions and like being able to like be at their local bike shop from afar and like get their bike set up really well out of the box to where they don't really feel like they need to fiddle with it too much.
Right.
Especially somebody just getting into it who doesn't know what they need to fiddle with.
Right.
I think having those questions is super helpful. So yeah, like even before that sheet, these were kind of general questions we were asking too.
That is an awesome service, by the way.
I'm glad you think so.
Yeah.
And I think you spend a fair amount of time also just helping people figure out how to install their pedals and handlebar and
Totally. Yeah.
and the things they have to do when they get their bike. And I imagine sometimes there's I mean, I know because sometimes I'm part of the team solving it, but sometimes we get hit with like, hey, this happened and I need some help. And it's like, okay, we're going to have to get creative and help this person because we're not there.
Totally.
Do you have any stories coming to mind of that? Like that?
Recently, there was a guy who was having some dropper post creaking issues. Bottom line is, I talked with Zach and some other people. We weren't able to figure it out like from far, unfortunately. So we did have to take it to a local shop to get it checked out. But it was basically tried everything. It was like I think the creaking was thought to be coming from like the seat post collar area, the clamp that clamps it down to the frame. And yeah, we kind of walked through some things with the customer. It seemed the customer already did a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Even tried different seat posts.
Yeah.
Tried fiber grip, tried grease, tried torquing it to spec, tried messing with the torque. Just a lot of things. So,
and I know in this situation where we have had to get help from another shop, sometimes
Yeah.
we help them find a good shop.
yeah, absolutely.
Did that happen in this case, or
not in this
had a
case,
shop?
but that is something that I generally do try to do is point them in the right direction.
Yep. It's funny how working at a shop it can be somewhat. I feel like I can look at a shop's website and maybe some other stuff on the web and have a pretty good idea of what kind of and what brands they sell.
Yeah,
have a pretty
totally.
good idea of what kind of shop they are.
Totally.
Yeah. What about? I think there's been some situations where we've had some technical issues that kind of we were surprisingly able. I remember one in particular, there was a customer who had lost or somehow they didn't have the key to their battery.
Oh, no.
And I think ultimately we talked them through some sort of like hack to get to basically
battery
pick
out.
the lock.
Yeah, I think so. I think I know what situation you're talking about. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I know that I'm not thinking of any examples right now, but the point is that it's kind of fun when there's a problem that would be pretty easy or maybe not super easy if the person could just bring us the bike, but since they can't, we have to figure out what a smart question
we've
is.
had to get good at that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah, and another example actually situation that just came to mind too was we shipped a Wild M team to somebody. Had a display on it, and he got it and ended up wanting to take the display off. And so I think what he did was pretty much just unplug the display and then just kind of tuck away the wire. And then after he did that, the bike wouldn't turn on, basically. And we were able to, I also worked with Zach on this one. We were also able to figure out that the wire that connects the motor to the head unit in the top tube, when you put a display on, that wire has to be rerouted from the head unit to the display and then back to the head unit with another wire. So when you unplug the display, then basically there's nothing plugged into the head unit because the head unit was plugged into the display.
Right.
So did he bypass it, or did he just have to plug his display back in?
He just had to plug his display back in. Yeah, and this was a guy that was comfortable like taking his fork out and taking his headset apart and like being able to get in the frame too. But yeah, we helped him figure out that he just needed to replug that wire in, and then it worked.
But long story short, we do offer pretty extensive free remote technical support if you buy a bike from us or anything you buy from us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Included in the price.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
That's a great service. You probably answer the same question. You talked about pedals and handlebars. Same question over and over and over.
Yeah, a lot.
Is the
For
wiggle
sure.
and the dropper post normal? That's to me is the classic.
Is the
Yeah,
wiggle,
that's a
right?
big one.
Right. What do you attribute to your ability to answer that with alacrity, with like a positive, like cheerful smile? And
Honestly, just knowing like where a lot of these people are coming from.
Right.
Like I remember specifically first time mountain bikers, but even like just general mountain bikers a lot of times don't fully know everything.
right.
Just knowing like where they're coming from and like, not being fully aware when I first started mountain biking, I didn't know a lot and I had to figure a lot of stuff out the hard way.
Right.
And so like I'm passionate about like giving somebody or giving people the best experience possible
Right.
when they're in that kind of situation.
Right.
Yeah, I won't name the shop, but when I was new, I didn't have the best experiences with their particular shop. So from that experience as well, like I pride myself on being able to, you know, help people to a high standard that are in that situation, because I don't want them to feel like how I did.
Right.
I also want them to be excited to go out and ride their new bike and feel like it's set up right and that, you know, everything's going to work for them too.
That's awesome.
Sometimes some of those really repetitive questions, I imagine, are kind of an easy win compared to some of the more difficult problem solving you do on a daily basis too.
Yeah.
Like a little, you know what? I'm just going to answer some of these easy questions and
Totally.
maybe I'll think of an answer to this harder one.
Totally. Yeah, maybe I'll figure it out. Yeah, and again, like this isn't something that I deal with alone too. Like we have a full service department here. We have a team. Like Zach's a person that I talk to a lot when I have questions, and as said before, he's like basically an encyclopedia.
He really is.
Yeah. So, but honestly, a lot of our technicians here are really good resources too, and good at researching as well and figuring out info that I'm having trouble finding out.
It's a part of our culture that I'm really, really proud of, is that when I'm doing something difficult, I will often get help from people on the crew around me, and the people on the crew do the same. So like, kind of like run out of ideas, run out of options, run out of talent. It's like, maybe Brian will have an idea. Like,
Right.
Totally. There's people you can go to for a lot of things around here.
Yeah. And there's kind of a culture of, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah. It's our culture is like not being too prideful to like not ask other people for help. Like
Right.
it's, you know, everybody asks everybody for help.
Yep.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's important. It's an important part of the cake that we're cooking.
Yeah.
Baking.
Cooking.
Yeah.
All right. So what about the new shop are you looking forward to most, as it applies, just in general, and then as it applies to your particular role?
Yeah. I'm excited for the flow of things at the new shop. Here we have 4 different units, technically.
We have 3 kind of distinct entry zones, and then 2 of those are made up of units that have been merged, sort of.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
So the area that is the workshop and the bike rental storage, and where you and Jeff Seaver work, that is was 3 suites, and now it's kind of 3 connected suites. And then where we are was also 3 suites.
Right.
And then the bike storage area, that's another entrance, and separated from these first 2, is another suite.
And those became connected when we moved into these ones?
So
moved over?
we connected the first 3 one at a time.
Okay.
But it was kind of a reconnection, because it had been a used bookstore, and the used bookstore got smaller and smaller, and they sealed it off back into the used bookstore grew and took over suites, and then shrunk, and they turned them back into suites.
Right.
So
So you have all these different connected units in various ways.
Yeah. So basically, I think in a recent podcast episode, I think you guys talked about this as well. But you know, the flow of things, it works. But, you know, we kind of are going around. I think a big thing is walking through the service area where the techs are working.
Right.
That's kind of like the main door to get to the back side of the building. So, so I think the flow of things, I think, is going to be way better. I'm just excited in general for the new shop. Like, I'm excited for what it's going to bring for us as well. Like, obviously flow-wise, but also being able to use the space a little bit more efficiently. The fact that we're able to build it out and like make it what we want, which is really cool.
Yep.
Do you have a sense of what your new workspace is going to be compared to your current workspace?
Kind of. I know it's still going to kind of be in like the back corner like it is right now with Jeff.
Right.
But not in particular. I think it's gonna be right next to. We have like a garage door in the back that I think is gonna be like our USPS UPS drop off
Receiving, right?
/ pickup / receiving / shipping area. So in that like back nook there, I think that's where I'm gonna be stationed, as far as I know.
Got it.
But once we get moved over there, I think it'll probably be a matter of like maybe playing with things a little bit too and figuring out what area works and how to set it up and whatnot.
Right.
At last check, Jeff, our receiving guy, will have a desk next to those tall shelves next to the garage door, and then your desk would be next to his. But it would be easy to change that if you wanted to be in a different spot. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you do you also pack and get product ready for shipping?
Yeah. So obviously we've talked a lot about web bike orders.
Yep.
Yeah, like just normal items you buy off the web store. Again, most of the time I'm the one packing it up and sending it out.
Got it.
Like I said, Brian,
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yeah,
5
and
days
then
a
Brian
week.
does the other 2.
And Dawn.
And Don, like
Dawn's
Don
been doing
will
it more
fill
and
in.
more, and then sometimes Val.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Yep.
Like when me or Brian are gone, someone will
And
fill
more
in.
and more, we're gonna have like Tyler is doing it and building the process,
Right.
and slowly handing off more and more of the process.
Right.
Yeah. Like my goal is to be able to make the process straightforward and like in writing, and then that way, like if someone needs to take over who is completely newbie or somebody who's going to get into that side of things for us down the road, has a process and has something to go off of.
Yeah. When I need you to solve another layer of difficult problems, and I need you to delegate some of the order fulfillment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, which does happen currently too.
Yep.
So just trying to juggle both responsibilities too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people help you pull the parts, and you kind of do the final, make sure everything's right. A lot of the time.
For sure. Double check that we pulled the right part, that it's tagged correctly, that it's in good shape. Yeah.
It's awesome.
I've heard it said you should always be looking to hand off about somewhere between 5 and 15% of your current duties to other people, and that with the intent of that frees you mental cap space as well as actual time to absorb more.
Mm-hmm.
And so if everyone is doing this to the entire staff, then it really helps things move forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
A little bit of shop news, local
Sure.
news.
Sure.
Well, we got a bunch of Trance X 29.2s and Trance 2s at a crazy price, and we're selling them for $19.95.
Oh.
Yeah.
And by a crazy price, I mean we are offering a crazy price on them.
Yeah.
$19.95.
Yeah.
That's a direct competitor to the Occam H30s that we've had at the same price.
That were really hot little potatoes at that price.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
It's a really good bike for the price.
It's got a Marzocchi fork, a pretty nice Shimano drivetrain, and
Yeah. It's got a lot of stuff that'll last.
I feel like the X is like a classic trail bike.
Right.
And the Not X is really kind of blurs the line between like trail and downcountry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the Not X, I believe, is 115 rear, 130 front travel.
I think now it's 120.
120,
Yeah,
130.
I think 2021 and before was 115, and I think now it's 120.
Got it. And the X is 130, 140.
135 rear, 150 front.
Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
And
a capable
good,
bike.
Good geo, very balanced feeling, very efficient. That DW link is.
Or Maestro.
I'm sorry.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was an intentional slip, but I think Weagle agrees with me.
Yeah. Oh man.
No, I mean an unintentional slip.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that Maestro suspension is efficient, though.
Yeah, there's crazy deals all around. Like altitudes and instincts are 30% off now.
Mhm.
And we're used to good deals on 2022 bikes. Now it's happening with 2023s
Yeah.
Wow.
because we have 2024s.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And other hot news. I mean, we all saw the new SRAM Bros motor.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I'm interested.
Yeah, me too.
It peaks. Did you see that?
I
Auk?
did, and I'm very interested. Yeah, for sure. I saw again, not the SRAM Bros motor, the whole electric shifting, but I saw auto shifting in action this weekend
Where at?
on Joplin.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
the Shimano version.
Yeah, the
on
Shimano.
EP801.
Right. The
Yeah.
EV, yeah.
And Andrew is running that using that feature on.
Yeah, yeah. And I could, when he told me that he was using it a lot on Joplin, I was like, I can totally see how.
So
how that
I want to
we can
nail
take a
down.
step back and.
So there's automatic. There's like
Yep.
shift. There's where the bike shifts for you.
Yep.
And then there's where you can shift and the bike pedals into gear for you. So not pedals, but turns the chain into gear
yep,
for
yep.
you.
You don't have
Which
to.
one of
it-
those two was he doing?
Coasting and shifting.
So he touches the shifter, and then the bike finishes the shift for you.
Correct, and he doesn't have to be pedaling
And
at all.
transmission can do that,
And transmission can do that,
but
right?
transmission can also just be like, do the shift for you, right?
Correct, keeping up with the air.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
which
pretty
is
cool.
that was not on display, but the shifting while coasting,
Kind of cool.
that is really cool.
And then
I didn't realize it until this weekend how cool like that is.
Yeah, it is a really cool concept for sure.
Yeah,
the 90 Newton meter motor seems cool.
that does.
Yeah.
I wonder if some people are going to be turned off by having to run an AXS reverb in order to keep the left controller.
Yeah. Yeah. Me and Zach talked about it a little bit, and he claimed that there is a way to put a normal dropper on there if you just ditch that controller, obviously.
We
and
think
then,
there is,
yeah, or we
but we
speculate.
think you couldn't shift between shift modes
Yeah, or I think
with
I think you can do it on the head unit. I think that was the
with the buttons. Right?
Yes, exactly. Which it does have 2 modes. So I feel like you'd be switching between modes less on that as well, because there's 2 very distinct modes, and you'd probably be in one or the other depending on what kind of ride you're on.
Could you? But yeah, I'm not sure if you'd be able to shift between the auto shift and the not auto shift.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good question. I don't know.
I'm not quite sure how that would work. And someone said, well, you could put 2 AXS controllers on one side.
You could.
Or, yeah, I'm
buttons
getting.
on one side.
That's a lot of buttons.
I was going to say you could do the little blip buttons, but I think those don't work on on this bike, because I remember in the seminar, the webinar, they said that the old AXS shifters don't work on this bike, even though there's interchangeable in other situations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like between transmission and
Like
regular
on a regular-
axis, I think
right.
the shifter translates
Totally.
or is backwards compatible and vice versa.
Yeah. It's exciting. And the new transmission repeater, we ordered a bunch of those. Looks good.
Yeah, that
Sweet.
looks good. When are those available?
Gosh. I want to say that those are going to be made public on the 10th. So when this show airs on the 11th, it'll be okay that we're talking about it. And we will have a medium in stock, from what I understand.
Oof.
And we should probably double check that and edit this out if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. So that's exciting.
I need to sell some e-bikes.
You know, I think I might need
A lot
to
of
also
e-bikes
sell
right
some
now.
e-bikes.
Dude, what's that?
I might also, but not as bad as you. How many do you have?
I have 4 right now.
4 e-bikes.
One is a commuter e-bike, and I actually would want to sell that one too, because some of the cool like gravel e-bikes
Yeah.
that are out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Moots has one.
Is that the new Santa Cruz
Skitch.
Skitch. That's right.
Yes.
Yep, the Santa Cruz Skitch. I think I saw Trek or Specialized has one as well. Yeah,
Yep.
Nice little commuter upgrade.
nice little commuter up
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
I think we might have a Pivot one in stock too. 28 mile an hour drop bar e-bike.
that's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
The E-Volt.
Yep.
The E-Volt. Yeah,
And that uses the Fazua motor.
right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, we had a customer cancel an order on a Rebea Gain if you want a good deal on one.
Or big.
Yeah, we have one.
Yeah.
Large D50, I think.
Oh, it's a large. Too bad it's not our size.
Right. Exactly.
It's my size.
Oh, nice.
Other local news, we have the OC MTB Limestone race on November 11th. That should be fun. I think Zach will be out there with neutral support and fun.
End of daylight savings is coming up. That's not local news, but
Sad. Is this the
Regional.
last time? I heard that that's going away.
whoa.
I didn't know about this.
Maybe that was another dream I had.
I heard I heard there was. Yeah, I hadn't heard that. Wow. I actually wouldn't mind if it went away.
Yeah.
Would you want to stay on the summer version?
Well, I think we would go back to the what is it, standard? So we're going to go into standard time now. So I think that's how it be. But okay, I guess if I had my choice, what would I want to stay on? I don't know if it really matters. Oh, it does, because it would shift when it's later.
Yeah.
It's too much for my mind to process right now. Would I want it later? Would you want it light later in the wintertime or the summertime?
Or would you rather it always be light a little bit later, or dark a little bit later, or dark a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
And vice versa and dawn.
Light a little later. I'm not sure on the dawn, though. I'd always want it light really early and light really late.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah, best of both
probably
worlds.
you could be a sun chaser and chase that.
You could.
You could, yeah.
Northern part of the
There's a way.
northern part of the globe and southern part of the globe.
That
You
is
each have a
true.
period where it's like that.
That is true. Yeah, it's always as a commuter, it's always a little bit rough the first couple weeks when we fall back, and you are, I go start in the dark and come home in the dark.
Oh yeah.
And the come home in the pitch black is, the first couple of weeks I'm like, man, it's really dark out here.
Yeah.
It's discouraging.
A little bit. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm sure it's colder out too.
That I actually like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a good thing.
Yeah.
I saw a weird product that caught my eye that I think we should address on the
All
show.
right.
Did you guys see that O-Chain active spider thing?
I did.
Yes.
I'm not putting it on my bike, but I'm glad it's out there. And like maybe I would put it on a bike.
Like, why wouldn't you put it on your bike?
Well, right now I'm just not looking to strap any more weight to my bike.
That's fair.
I do think if I were to put it on a bike, it would be a really long travel bike that has a lot of chain growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a really cool. We haven't really said what it is, but it's a spider that bolts onto your cranks that kind of winds up a little bit so that when your suspension cycles, you don't get kind of pedal kickback, which also messes with your suspension moving.
Yep.
And people who, there's a kind of some people know that if you run a downhill bike with no chain, the suspension works differently and kind of feels plusher.
Right.
So it makes the bike suspension work like you're running chainless.
Yep. I think Luke had been talking about this.
Like as a concept before it existed?
No, as
Okay.
like
I don't know how long it's been around. It just caught my eye
Yeah.
recently
Yeah,
because
same.
one of our distributors started carrying it.
yeah, that sounds like it. And you can match that with a high pivot.
Yeah. Well, I think the idler pulley means you don't have to.
Yeah.
I was just say I think you probably would just need
I
one
wonder
or
if-
the other.
I wonder if that would just like completely, like, does a high pivot actually completely undo any chain growth?
It's not the high pivot that does it. It's the idler
it's a-
pulley that you have
correct.
that you
The idler
practically
pulley.
have to run with the high pivot because it has so much chain growth.
Right. But is the idler pulley mitigating it or is it eliminating it?
It's a good question. I think that it's eliminating it.
That's what I think too.
All right. Then you don't need both.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the idler pulley, I believe, is isolating the drivetrain from the chain growth.
Got it.
Yeah.
Or, what it's doing is it's moving the top of the chain to in line with the main pivot, so that I think is what's going on, so that it's not growing.
Yeah. It's like basically getting rid of the part of the rear wheel going up where there would be chain growth.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
For the top of the chain.
Yes. Exactly.
Because yeah. Think of if your rear, like a bike with a concentric main pivot where the pivot's around the bottom bracket, has no chain growth.
Correct.
And so I think it's probably just gets it close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the O chain, that's a cool concept.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool concept. We have any other news going around that we need to hit on right now? There's tons of news, but I have been I've been spending so much time at the new location, and and it's so exciting. It's hard for me to like get my news. And
You have been posting some cool videos of the new location.
thanks. I'm really stoked on how it's coming out right now.
Who was wearing the hard hat in that one?
That's Jake. Jake works at the Jabuco store.
Got it.
And he has been, so the crew that's been doing a lot of building the fixtures and putting the displays up on the walls and making bike display racks and everything, it's Jeff and Jake and Raul, and they have been just killing it. And before he went off to be on the hand crew, Connor did a bunch of that stuff too.
Got it.
Yeah.
So so what's up with the wood bike racks?
Yeah. You like how we have our bike displays here, those are metal, obviously, and the way, it's like a foundation that you can put the trays on. And in the new location, the trays and the foundation will be made out of wood. The foundations are basically built now, and some of the trays are.
Wow.
And way more stable as far as like the bikes, the way we display them now. They have a lot of side to side kind of flop in the display fixture.
Yep, sure.
And in the ones we're building, there's zero flop. It holds it perfectly straight. Looks really good.
Got it. Any other benefits?
Yeah, I think less damage to bikes. And, if you like stand up and hit your head on one of the trays, maybe it won't hurt as much. And aesthetically, it's a softer, warmer look, I think, and gives the bikes a kind of a different different look.
Yeah, completely.
Different presentation.
Yeah, that's exciting.
All right. I think we hit everything I really wanted to hit, but we do have some listener participation we can do.
Sure. So let me see. I forget your name. George was messaging me, and man, he's got a broken neck
Heavy.
That's so George. Healing vibes to you. Really hope you listen to your doctor and be a good patient, please. And hope you're able to come back. We've seen that, right?
Hopefully all of George's extremities move when he tells them to.
Right.
Still.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I think, George, I'm not sure if you had asked this. What's our experience? What's you guys' experience been with like the Liat braces and what have you? And
I see less and less of them all the time. I remember they were breaking collarbones.
Right.
Are they wearing a lot of Liats at the park these days?
Not that I can tell. Not that I've
I think
seen.
they're out of style. I don't know if it's because they're not a good idea or not.
Or maybe they're just so low profile I can't even notice them.
Yeah. I don't think I'm noticing a lot of pros wearing them.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, you can come back when I was a kid, there was kind of a conventionalism that if you broke your neck, you were done.
Right.
Or maybe dead. I know a number of people who have broken their necks and still have normal lives. As Auk mentioned, I think it's really important that you do this the right way and don't mess up your spinal column.
Right.
If it's not already messed up.
Right.
But I think there's definitely hope and it is doable. We've had a number of customers and friends who have done that and have come back from a broken neck and done the PT and managed the pain and gotten kind of most of a normal life back. So it's doable.
Yeah.
It's doable if you're lucky, if you're one of the lucky people for whom it's doable.
Yeah. So, George, best to you. Let's see. Johnny has a question about 27 inch wheels, like not MX. And he says, been listening to the podcast for about 5 years. Big fan. Thank you, Johnny. Question for the podcast. I currently ride a 27.5 inch Process, a 153 CRDL, the blue 2018 one. Never tried a 29er, kind of intimidated by them. I'm 5'8". Absolutely love the Process. What new bike would you recommend someone who's never ridden a 29er coming from the Process 27.5? Or is there another 27.5 that you're recommending? What benefits of a 29er that are great to switch up? I feel like 27.5 is a dying breed.
Yeah.
I think that's I think your feeling is probably right.
It seems like, at least for now, not too many brands. The brand I could think of that still seems to be pretty committed to dual 27.5 is Pivot. Yeah. And if you want, I think if you really want a modern dual 27.5, that's probably the way to go.
Yeah.
But someone who's 5'8", I don't know, maybe intimidated is that's the word that you had mentioned. I don't think there's need to be intimidated at 5'8" of a 29-inch
Well,
29er.
I sometimes claim to be 5'8", but I'm not quite there.
I'm the same. I'm not quite there.
I'm close enough that it's probably the most accurate and to the point answer for me to just say 5'8".
I'm getting farther from that, actually.
That can happen. So I definitely, speaking for myself, I don't think that, 29 works for me. I don't think I ever want a 27.5-inch front wheel unless it's for a specific use. And what I'm picturing is maybe a dirt jump bike, but for that I'd probably end up on 26.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
the kind of less shakiness and sketchiness of the front wheel on 29 is hard to give up once you're used to it, and makes 27.5 feel kind of sketchy.
Right. I'd agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So Johnny, I would say maybe try, if you don't want to go full 29, maybe try go mixed wheel size.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of options in that 153 range that you could go with. You might even check out the Trance X.
Yeah, right.
know?
And the current process is a good bike to run mixed wheel too.
current
And we have some
process.
on sale of those too on really good deals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think at least two of us on the show have had that. Have you had a modern 153 Process X, I should say?
No,
Got
I've
it.
not.
Yeah, so maybe check out that Process X if you like the Kona.
Yeah.
Maybe check out that.
I don't know why it's not coming to me right now. Pivot does the Shadow Cat and the
Mach 6.
Mach 6.
Yeah.
So if you really want a dual 27.5, I think the Mach 6 is a really good choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And it's about similar travel than the 153.
Yeah.
I think it's 160 front, 148 rear.
Yeah.
pretty similar.
The geometry might be a little old school compared to the 153 in some ways. It just kind of depends. But
Really? I thought it was more modern.
I guess
I could be wrong.
I'm kind of guessing I needed to look closer.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends what number you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm sure it depends.
I kind of thought I remembered the reach on the Process being longer, but I might be wrong. And then do you know the head angle on? We can look it up.
I thought it was like 64 on
Okay.
the Mach 6.
So right there.
I think.
Yeah.
That's
Theoretically.
solid. Yeah. Unlike John doesn't really like the feel of his Kona Process 134 suspension. He was asking about the Trance X. We sung the praises of the Trance X earlier on the show
We did.
without having read this. Without having
We were
read
ready
this.
for John.
But John, yeah, the question is, or comment is, I currently ride a Carbon Process 134. Not loving the Kona suspension, looking for more of a damped feel. Short stays and a 40 millimeter stem with 51 offset fork makes it feel twitchy. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, there's just not a ton of suspension on the Process 134.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It is.
And
134, right.
I don't know what version this person has, but a lot of them didn't come with super impressive rear shocks either.
Right.
No.
Right.
I am in general a fan of the kinematics of the suspension on the 134, but it is a single pivot.
Right.
So I do think that the Maestro has a little more going on with wheel path and anti-squat and everything, having a
Right.
proper linkage. And overall, it also, because it has a little more travel, overall might give the effect that you're looking, and also probably longer chain stays. It sounds like he's looking for maybe a little longer chain stays.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I ride an equivalent of a Trance X on my push bike, and I really like it. John, you should call the shop because there's some smoking dills on the Trance X's.
I think you ride a Trance X just a carbon one, right?
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. But is yours mixed wheeled out?
It is not right now. It is not. Yeah. Because I've got some super, super light wheels on there, and it's...
I was going to say, I remember you brought that in the shop, and you had, like, were they reserves?
Yeah, the Reserve
like
28s.
28s, yeah.
Yeah, the Reserve 28
Built,
SL.
like, very XC-ish, or
It
very,
is.
very lightweight, I should say.
Little side tangent. I meant to make a note of this before the show. Did you guys see the new Zip Moto XC wheels?
No.
I saw a snippet on Instagram.
Kind of exciting and really light. 30 mil internal, single
Right.
wall rim,
Yep.
lifetime warranty. And if I remember correctly, there's a wheel set that's like 1,450 grams or so that's like under $1,400.
Oh, my gosh.
And there's
Damn.
a more expensive version that's the same rims with lighter hubs and spokes that's supposed to be under 1,400 grams. That's like
Dang.
$1,900.
Dang.
I kind of want there's this future podcast topic that I'm kind of cooking up of all the different times that us and people we know had like a part and ended up having to build a bike around it. The most extreme version, like one guy one time had a seat collar. It's like, I got this awesome seat collar. You got any frames that fit?
Oh, that's
happens.
fantastic.
But I saw those wheels and I was like, I think I need to build a downcountry bike.
Yeah.
So
That might move me off the Reserve 28s.
yeah,
I'm
I can
running
see
the
that.
Reserve 28s with Cushcore and XC tires.
Full cush core? Like regular cush core?
No.
XC Cushcore?
XC Cushcore, yeah. Right.
I figured.
Right, exactly. Let's not get silly now.
I wonder what was intimidating that last person about 29, because there's different things that different people are intimidated by. Like some people are intimidated that it's going to be hard to accelerate. Some people are intimidated that it's going to be hard to turn. Some people are intimidated that it's going to be hard to bunny hop and manual. And all those things have some truth to them. Sort of. Like there's a element of truth or a through line of truth, even though they're not the truth.
Right.
Like,
Right. But is it that much that you should, like, that those things would influence your
well,
decision?
to me, no. I just wonder which
Right.
ones of
Yeah.
those are intimidating the person.
Yeah. I have an experience going from 27.5 to 29, and I'm 6 foot, so like a lot of the downsides of running a 29 for shorter people I haven't personally experienced, but I feel like a lot of it is just like getting through an adjustment period.
Yeah.
Right.
It is harder for me to like bunny hop at 29, all other things
Yeah.
being equal.
Absolutely.
But once you get used to it and the timing, once you get the timing down and everything, you can do it. You can bunny hop just as good.
Yeah.
Cornering, maybe you got to try a little bit harder. You got to be a
Yeah.
little more committed to
Do a
that
little more.
lean,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
And
I think
that could maybe, for me, that was a big adjustment, is really committing to that lean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the most legitimate thing to be intimidated by is the transition. Some people steer all their bikes kind of by leaning and counter steering more than by turning the handlebars. But if you're that rider who's still really turning the handlebars a lot to turn,
Right.
the transition to 29 is that is going to make the transition to 29 harder.
Right.
Yeah. For sure.
You can't, because like on a 20 back in the day on 26, the bikes were sort of meant to turn by turning the bars.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
And these days, really not as much.
Right.
And if anything, you turn the bars the opposite direction that you want to turn.
Right.
So
Yeah, so the adjustment on cornering, yeah, that could be. But thanks for the listener questions as always. Keep sending them our way. We'll get to them as much as we can.
cool. Anything else you guys want to touch on tonight?
Not necessarily.
Nothing in particular for me, too.
You'll be back.
You'll be back.
I'll be back.
This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
This is just the beginning.
That's
Super
right.
stoked you made it, Tyler.
I'm
And
stoked to be here.
Always stoked that Auk can make it. Thanks, Auk.
Thanks, Tani.
All right. Thanks to all the listeners. Thanks to all of our stakeholders at the Path. And let's all remember to love the bike we ride.